Thanks for joining us for another episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We are continuing with our off-season drafts program. We are on our second one of 2024. We looked at sporting rule changes a few weeks ago, and we're back now with the Sporting Goats draft with a very special guest, Andy Davis, who's going to be joining us to make our fourth drafter. Byron, Joe, welcome back. We've had a week off since we did our Bets to the Future episode with Joe's finest thumbnail to date, although I think he has outdone himself with this one, which you'll get to see on our social media channels. But yeah, how are you feeling about the Goats draft?
A little nervous. It's been a tough one to prepare for, I think. There's a lot of sports in the world, and I'm hoping we might have some multiple goats in a sport, because that might help us get to 16, because I might be struggling to be well versed when it gets to the end of round 4 otherwise, truthfully. So I might be picking our fourth soccer player or what have you. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun anyway. I've been doing a bit of research on things I'm not as familiar with, which is always nice.
Byron choosing the greatest right back of all time.
Well, I'm not going to say his name, but he could be out there, yeah.
Yeah, let's not be tipping picks. Joe, how's your prep gone?
Yeah, it's gone all right. It's similar to Byron. It's trying to find, I think a lot of these sports, there's a lot of arguments, so I'm curious if there's going to be, again, I don't want to tip it, but there's certain sports where it's like it's 50% this one or 50% that one, and it's curious what people choose. And do you go with the stats, or do you go with the impact that the person's made and the different eras? So it's certainly been interesting, and researching and looking at sports which I've hardly watched but heard the names. But it's looking forward to it.
Yeah, it is. Strategy will be interesting as always with these drafts. We'll see how we get to. So let's bring our guest on. We've got Andy waiting. Let's bring on Andy Davis. We've got a lot to talk about as well. We've just had the NFL, the NFL international schedule release. The rest of the schedule will be released. So let's talk about that stuff. But welcome to the Good Teams and Great Teams Cover Goats draft, Andy Davis. Andy, welcome back. It's good to have you back on Good Teams and Great Teams Cover.
Hello, yeah, thank you for having me on. I had a good time last time I came on, so looking forward to doing the episode today.
Nice, good stuff. It's good. It's a good sign that people want to come back on as well, which is good. I don't know if you remember, Soccer M used to give people like the hat trick ball, and they came back for a third time. So if you come back on again, Andy, we might have to organise some sort of little trophy for it. But yeah, we do appreciate you. Appreciate you giving up your time as well. Andy, we talked when you came on last time. We talked a lot around kind of how your, I suppose, career is starting in terms of sports media and in the NFL, and that stuff's continuing. You are involved in so many different things I see across from following you. So go give Andy a follow at Andy Davis Sports. But yeah, kind of give us just a taste of kind of what you've got going on at the minute. Now you're in some new ventures as well.
Yeah, so I'm carrying on with the writing. Still write for Franchise Tag, and I write for the Touchdown, as well as Vavel, which is a soccer or football based website. I do things like match reports, previews, basically column pieces and all that. Still do my podcast, so I still do Across the Pod, which is my main baby. Still do Fins Nation UK podcast, a few other side ones such as Euro Trips, and then just started a new podcast about Liverpool. Did the first episode last week, so that's a really brand new podcast. That's called the Field of Anfield Road podcast. Basically, just I thought, my dream as well as NFL was to get into, be a Liverpool, somehow be able to go to Liverpool games and be a recognised Liverpool journalist. And I think that's a good way to start, is to write more about them and do a podcast based on that. So hopefully that will kickstart as well. And yeah, still do the TikTok, almost on 4,000 followers now, so trying to build that up at the moment. And I'm going to start putting some of my TikToks on YouTube under the same channel name, Andy Talks NFL. Do give a follow for that as well, trying to get myself to 4,000. So anyone who can help me follow that will be great. And yeah, otherwise, apart from that, still do my non-sporting day job, which is NHS medical secretary. Obviously still hoping to, make this a full-time job. So anyone who is listening or watching to this podcast that wants to give me a full-time job, then obviously that'll be great. And obviously the ultimate dream of working for Radio 5 Live is still on. So yeah, if anyone has any contacts there, let me know as well.
Yeah, go get Andy snapped up, because he's gonna have lots of offers, I'm sure, over the next few years.
Thank you very much.
Pleased to hear those TikTok numbers are up as well. You'll never talk alone, as I say.
Oh.
It's the first of the bad gags for this episode.
Of joke.
Yeah. There'll be plenty more, don't worry, Andy. Quite possibly the hardest working man in UK sports media. I think he's doing everything and anything, and certainly the graft will pay off. So go give Andy a follow across Andy Davis Sports and across kind of all the content he's producing, because it is fantastic. Let's start by talking about the NFL International Series games, and mostly the London games. Earlier today, we had confirmation of the 3 games. So we've got Jets, Vikings at Spurs, Jags, Bears at Spurs, and then Jaguars, Patriots at Wembley. Andy, let's see, you've covered some of those games before. What's your kind of initial reaction to the 3 games at Wembley? London, not Wembley. 2 at Spurs, 1 at Wembley. Jesus.
I will say now to anyone who's maybe every year we get the same thing. People complain about, the games are terrible. And I get it. On paper, these games aren't good. But sometimes the best games, it goes for any sport, this as well. The best games aren't always the best teams. I've seen so many Champions League finals where they've been boring as hell. Think of one of my favourites, Liverpool Tottenham, or think of Man City against Inter Milan, or you think of Chelsea City. And these are some of the best teams in the world. And you look at other games, if you told me before the season started that Spurs Ajax would be the best game of the whole that Champions League season, you'd have thought I was crazy. So, and also we don't know what these teams are going to be like when the season starts. Like on paper, I think these are going to be probably, you'd think not all of them are going to be good, but you just never know. These teams come out of nowhere, and we had albeit in Germany, we had a Super Bowl winner last year play there. So I think I think whilst on paper you probably think, these aren't the best, I will say that there's some good teams there. The Bears are going to be very exciting this year. You've got the first overall pick in Caleb Williams, who could be generational for them. Roma Dunes coming in as well. Obviously Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, and that's just the offense alone. And you look at Aaron Rodgers, everyone's still forgotten about that. Aaron Rodgers will be there. Whether he'll be the same Rodgers, I don't know. We don't know how he's going to be after the injury. You've got Justin Jefferson playing, got a new draft pick in JJ McCarthy there. And the Patriots, that's probably the worst team there, but they got a new quarterback in Drake May. I think for me, it's in terms of the London games, I think there's definitely a lot to be excited about. And I think that, I think we're talking about off camera as well, the fact that we've got 3 games in London. I mean, if you told me, well, not me, because I'm not that old, but if you were told someone in the 80s that, when they watch it on Channel 4, that you're going to get just 1 game, they'll think that's crazy. So to get 3 is just a luxury that we should never really take for granted. I think that get to any game you can. I know some people are that mantra where they won't go to a game that's not their team. That's fair enough. But if you're not like that, just go to any game you can, because it's a good experience. I've met loads of people who I call friends through going to games and all that. So I think it's all around. It's a great occasion, a great day out, and I think that we should never take it for granted. So I'm looking forward to it. Hoping to once again be involved in the press path like I was last year. Got to interview the likes of Mike Vrabel, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, got to Derrick Henry as well. So for me, I'm hoping that will be more of the same this year.
Excellent stuff, and spare a thought for the people of Germany who are stuck with Giants, Carolina Panthers. So we can't really complain about the games we've got in London.
Hey, well, last year they had Chiefs Dolphins, so it's time we had the better games this year.
Yeah, it's a rough one for those in Munich, but who knows? That might end up being a cracking game. Who knows at that point in the year? Yeah, Byron Joe, we're gonna get the Jags again, back-to-back weeks. I went to what game did I go to? I went to Jaguars Falcons at Wembley last year as well. So I'm gonna try and mix it up and get to Spurs. Probably Jets Vikings is probably the one. It'd be good to go see Aaron Rodgers. That'd be pretty cool. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, if Rodgers makes it there, Achilles might blow out week 1 again. We don't know.
The other one.
Wouldn't rule anything out. No, I think, they're not duds. I'd take any of them over Giants Panthers, certainly. I'd be excited to see the Bears, certainly. I'd be excited to see the Vikings. Yeah. And there's always some, like, the thrill of just seeing NFL up close is tough to beat. I remember I went to a few of the Wembley games, and I went to Dolphins Raiders, which was a bit of a dud. I don't know if you remember that one, Andy, or if you went.
Before my time a little bit, I was at that point, I was sort of checking results without actually watching games live. But I think maybe a couple of years later, I started to really watch it fully. So yeah, I remember that's the only one we've actually, if I'm right, the only one we've won in London. I don't think we've won one and lost 5, I believe, at London games. So I think that was it was that or the Jets we won a game in. Yes, not a great record internationally.
No, but even that, it was a bit of a dud game, but it was still it's the NFL up close. You can't really ever, like you're saying, get away from that being a thing in England. It's really surreal. And every one of these teams has got special athletes on. I remember again, I went to it was Vikings Steelers, and it was Lev Bell and Adrian Peterson, kind of both at the peak of their powers. Just running back, such an easy position to watch in person as well. Quarterback, sometimes you kind of can lose a bit of the nuance of it, but as running back, it's just this is just incredible. So I'm sure there'll be big players in every game, and
I remember that Dolphins Raiders game. I also went to that game at Wembley. I'm pretty sure the week after Dennis Allen got fired.
I think he got fired on the flight home.
It was on the way back. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Matt Moore played quarterback for.
Yep.
Yeah, the Dolphins. Yeah.
Well, I think it was Tannehill started and Matt Moore came in because it was such a blowout.
Yeah.
Which, again, like I said, it wasn't a pretty game, but
it might be my first one. I think that one. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of, let's segue into the Dolphins. Andy, you're a big Miami Dolphins fan. Let's have a chat about kind of how off-season's gone so far and kind of where you think they're at heading into the season. How did you kind of feel free agency and draft went for Miami?
Before the last week or so, I would have said a bit could have done more, but I absolutely love the OBJ signing because he's not on our WR1 anymore. To have him as your third choice wide receiver, I think that's just amazing because that's the thing we ultimately struggled with last year was that we had obviously Hill and Waddle. Both had injuries at times last year as well, but there wasn't really that third guy. I think the third best receiver yards-wise was a tight end in Durham Smythe. I think the next best receiver was Cedric Wilson with 200 yards the whole season or 200 and something yards all year. So for me to have Beckham, who, I want to say he got something like 600 yards last year or something, but to have him in as your third go-to guy, as well as someone like Johnny Smith, who I think is going to be a great addition, only $9 million as well, so pretty risk-free. So for me, I think that's going to be exciting, and obviously adding the running back as well and getting in a third guy in Jalen Wright. I think there's definitely a lot to be excited about. Obviously, defense, we've lost Christian Wilkins, we've lost Van Ginkel, we have got Chubb and Phillips come back from injuries. It's not always a guarantee they'll come back the same guys. But I do like the Trot Robinson addition. I think that's been largely over criticised, I'd say. Obviously, I think we all wanted, maybe Graham Barton. I think we would have got. I think Troy Fatanu was there at 20. I think we would have got him if Steelers hadn't have taken him. But overall, I'm not too unhappy because we've still got Tyreek Hill. For me, that's all I can say really is that we've still got the best receiver in the league, and even though he's probably not the best person off the field, on the field he's so exciting, and to have him there, you're always going to be in with a chance. And for me, I'm expecting at least double digits wins. And I think with the addition of OBJ and the Bills losing Stephon Diggs, I do hope that it's third time lucky in terms of winning that AFC East, because the Bills have broken my heart a lot of times in the last few years, and I'm hoping that this year is finally the year that we do it. And I think this year could be the one.
Yeah, well, we'll see the Bills matched up with the Dolphins, thinking the first Thursday night football game on Prime in week 2. So yeah, be interesting how it goes, because they were saying that driver's seat for that AFC East all the way until the very end. So we'll see if the Dolphins can get over the line. But still, lots to be excited about, and one hell of an enjoyable team to watch, that's for sure. Shall we get into the draft? That's what we'll do. So just to frame it a bit, we are going to do our Sporting Goats draft. So it's 4 rounds, 16 picks, snake draft format. We've got the order, if I remember right, is so Joby going first, Andy second, Byron then me, and spin back round from me. Sporting Goats. So we'll make our picks, talk through them, sell them. They'll no doubt be heavily critiqued, especially when it comes to my picks, and then we'll pick a winner each at the end. So yeah, looking forward to this one. It's been an interesting subject to to kind of research a little bit outside kind of the obvious ones on top of your head. I've got some wild ones. I'm quite looking forward to going deep into my list to share some of these. So yeah, real interesting this one. Joe, you're going to be up first for us, but I don't know if he's there at the minute because his screen's off.
It did say give us 2 minutes, so.
Okay, right. Well, that's fine. Interesting. Have you thought too much about strategy, Andy? How's your preparation gone for this?
I've gone for the sort of best player available sort of strategy. I've just I found this year a person for each sport. One is a bit of a wild one. I think me and you may have the same person by the sounds of it. But for me, it's I found that it was I think it really just spilled up some in my mind some real debates. I mean, there were some sports where for me it was that's fine, but that's the person. No need to really argue about that. But there was some. I think there's one sport in particular that seems being the biggest debate. I say maybe there's two sports that are like that, and I think this one will probably, I got a feeling we'll have multiple players from this one sport. But I'm looking forward to seeing who they take, and I'm hoping that my first overall pick, if I had the choice, is still there when Joe makes his pick.
Nice, yeah, because it is interesting, and there's different paths to go. Whether I don't know if my path, I'm going to try and maybe stay away from where there's debate. I don't know. I'm just going for like ones that are definitive. I love how Joe's put "I am back" in the chat when he appears on the screen. Ones where the definitive goats. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, let's get this. Joe, you're on the clock. Who's going to be the number one overall pick in the Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover GOATs draft?
Oh, this is tricky. I'm sure I've been the number one pick the last few, and I hate being going number one because all the pressure.
Got to set the tone, haven't you? You've got to
There is an easy 101 as well, so.
Oh, I don't know if there is,
no
but
pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go with one which there is a debate, but I don't think there is a debate. And I'm going to swing the first, and I'm going to go to the sport NBA, and I'm going to go Michael Jordan. As the greatest of all time in basketball and Space Jam movies.
Are you having basketball / sports actors?
Well, I'll stick with basketball because I can't. Because I haven't done the research in every single sports star in movies, but in terms of who's done the best Space Jam, it's definitely Michael Jordan. So go Michael Jordan, 6 championships, 6 NBA Finals MVPs. 5 league MVPs. He's got the highest point per game in NBA history of 30.1. He's more of an there's a debate on some of the old-timers. Obviously, that's up for debate and what the level of competition. And recently, him against LeBron James. But when you just look at him in the finals, like I mentioned, 6 MVPs, 33.6 points per game in the finals. He's a 10-time scoring champion. All-NBA selection 11 times, and he also was All-NBA defensive team selection 9 times. So I think the overall, who he is, his popularity, what he did for the sport to make it popular and bring it back, like in the 90s, he was one of the main sports, and how the advertisement and all stuff around that, I think he's the greatest of our time, and I'm going Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty solid pick. It was one. I think I've got 3 that I would be happy that would have gone 1-1, and Michael Jordan certainly was one of them. Yeah, you could sit there and just reel these records off, that list of achievements and records that he's set and holds for an hour, but that would be a very lengthy episode. And you mentioned possibly debate. Is the debate? I don't think there is. It's Michael Jordan. He is the greatest basketball player of all time.
And I think the big thing is they won 6 out of 8 years, and the 2 years is when he started playing baseball, and he wasn't the greatest of all time in baseball.
That didn't go well. Couldn't hit a curve.
So the fact within like an 8-year period, he basically won the title, 6 times, and the other 2 he wasn't even playing. No one's ever accomplished that in terms of the modern basketball anyway. So he's good with Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Andy, what do you make of that? Do you think, mate, do you feel that's a good number one pick? Is it one of yours? Or would it be one of yours?
I personally have a different person as the basketball GOAT who may turn up later on. I am in the camp of LeBron James being the GOAT. I think purely because he did carry a Cleveland team and what he did with them. And I'm not, the biggest basketball expert. I watch it, I basically watch Steph Curry, and that's pretty much about it. And some of the players now and again. But yeah, I think I can definitely see the argument. I think impact is a big thing, and it's a big thing about my pick is going to come next. And I think that goes a long way in terms of being a GOAT. But I do think that maybe LeBron James had maybe more to his game, and I think that if you put both of them in their prime in the same game, like say it's Cleveland Cavaliers against the Chicago Bulls, I do feel like LeBron James would get a better. Well, I think maybe Jordan plays better players, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, LeBron James was carrying a lot of no names for a good few years. So I think that's also something to take into account, and he's still breaking all these records.
Yeah, interesting. So that is the debate usually, Jordan, LeBron. Byron, what do you make to Michael Jordan's number one?
I think Michael Jordan is the basketball GOAT to me. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but again, just kind of the cultural impact and all his records. I think LeBron has a lot of records that go towards longevity. I think he's played a lot longer than Jordan did. But I wouldn't take Jordan 101 because there is a kind of well-established debate of who is the GOAT. I can speak to who I think it is, but in certain sports, I'll feel very confidently throwing a name as they are the GOAT. In basketball, I don't feel that confident. It's much more vibes-based, truthfully, for me.
It's a time thing as well, a generation thing. I think Andy's a little bit younger than us as well. We're obviously Andy's a little bit younger than us.
I'm going to be younger than you. I mean, me and Andy are both after Gen Z, probably.
I'm not sure what I am, actually.
I'm the oldest person here, I'm pretty sure. I turned 40 next year, so wow. I'm definitely not in Gen Z. I think that's a huge point. Yeah, growing up in the 90s, it was Jordan. Like, it's the only time you've seen UK basketball coverage was Michael. You'd never seen that in the early 90s, late 80s. It was then Jordan Blue, and it was like, oh my God, who is this guy? What is, going on here? Like I say, it wouldn't have been my 101, but he was definitely on my shortlist.
Yeah, I think.
A little thing for Andy there, if he wants LeBron as his GOAT for basketball, he can probably take him in the 4th round. I don't think Neil Paul is taking
it. Probably say that you get some good value there, Andy. I think probably the thing that tips it for me for Jordan is, I do understand the arguments with LeBron, who's also absolutely incredible, is that I think a lot of Michael Jordan's playoff records still stand to this day, where basketball's evolved in terms of point scoring. I know that does die down in the playoffs. The defense becomes more prevalent in the playoffs than it does in the regular season, but it's gone so far that even still those records set in the playoffs when it matters most, in crunch time, when your season's on the line to win championships, a lot of those records are still standing 25, 30 years later. And I think that's why for me, he probably, probably edged it. Someone might come along and take them, but they've stood for this long so far, so who knows. But yeah, Michael Jordan, number one, I think you can be pretty happy with that, Joe. I think that's pretty solid. Andy, number two. Who's going behind Michael Jordan?
Well, I'm looking forward to this one. It's not a sport. I'm more of a casual fan. I only watch the big events, but for me, I'm going for a guy that was named the greatest sport of the 20th century. I'm going for Muhammad Ali. I think that you mentioned impact. The impact he had on sport in general is absolutely massive, and from how vocal he was and all the quotes you get from him. He did lose 5 times, but he's had 56 wins. In 61 games, and I think for everything he's done, 5 spouses, if you want to go down that route as well. GOAT route, and that's something you could go now. But I think for his impact on the sport, and just the impact on culture. It's the time where it was when he was starting off in boxing, it was a time where it wasn't always easy for black people in the world. And I think that he was a big role model for people. I think Usain Bolt is that now as well, or was that when he first came through? I think Muhammad Ali is a great inspiration for people, and in a time where it wasn't easy for him. So yeah, I think Muhammad Ali is by far boxing's GOAT. And I think for me, he is one of the most famous people in sporting history, and he is such a big impact. So for me, Muhammad Ali is my pick at number 2.
Yeah, true icon. I think a true pop culture icon, a true sporting icon, for sure. You mentioned that as many fights lost as spouses was an interesting one, not one I came across in my research. But interesting, he lost 3 of his last 4 fights at a time when he really shouldn't have been fighting. He was just kind of doing it for the money at that point. So, but the other 2, when he was, still considered in his prime, he went and avenged the losses against Ken Norton, the loss against Joe Frazier. He went and avenged and got those wins back. So, yeah, truly, truly incredible force in the boxing world and in the sporting world for sure. Fantastic. And I think his impact on sports is still felt today. You see it like, that evolution of kind of the trash talking, entertainment side of it came from Muhammad Ali, took some of his inspiration from pro wrestling, and that's gone back into that as well. And many others certainly taking inspiration from Muhammad Ali. But yeah, just incredible. You won Olympic gold. Oh, incredible. Muhammad Ali at number 2, Byron Joe. What are your thoughts? He belongs there, doesn't he?
I'm not sure he does.
What?
I'm really pleased because I'm picking at 3 and my easy one-on-one still available, so I'm pleased with that.
Let's finish off on Muhammad Ali.
Yeah,
first.
I'm not going to give my pick here, but I think there's some dispute as to who the boxing GOAT is. I think Ali's probably the most important boxer of all time, but I'm not sure if he's the greatest boxer of all time. I actually have a different boxer on my shortlist, and I'll mention him in honorable mentions, or if I draft him later, I don't want to tip my pick here. So, I think certainly most important for boxing and society. But I'm trying to judge just purely on like in ring or in bout or in their contest performances, and I have someone else in mind. So
it's interesting because with Muhammad Ali, the other stuff plays a huge role in his career, doesn't it? The heavyweight championship of the world, even if he was never beaten for it the first time, it was taken away from him because of his conscientious objecting to the Vietnam War. And he had to come back 3 years out in an era where those heavyweights were just, the golden era of heavyweight boxing.
Yeah. But there is also multiple weight levels in boxing.
That is true, yes.
Which makes it really hard to judge A, over time, and B, overweight. It's hard to judge, your best flyweight now versus your best heavyweight now. So how do you judge your best heavyweight from the 60s versus your best middleweight from the 70s? 80s?
Make them fight. That's how we do it.
Good luck. Some of them aren't in such great nick now. But it's a really tough one to kind of, to me, pin one GOAT of a sport like boxing because it kind of covers so many different things where, tennis players compete on one court, essentially. I know different surfaces, etc. But, over history, it's always been, you don't have middleweight, flyweight, heavyweight tennis players. That might be fun to watch.
Interesting, yeah.
But, it isn't the case. As I struggled putting a boxer high on my list, but I understand Muhammad Ali as an icon, as a person. He's certainly up there in that sense.
Yeah, I'm going to say Muhammad. It was up there for me. It was in between 3 people, and he was definitely one of them. And certainly, thought about choosing him. And I just feel like you said it was the greatest time in boxing. Probably it's when all the heavyweights, actually fought each other and didn't duck each other for a number of years. And I think one of the stats I saw, he went 11-3 against other boxers who are in the International Hall of Fame for boxing. So, 3 of them losses are against, and not just nobodies or anyone. It's these are the top notch of heavyweight boxing Hall of Fame. So he was certainly there. He was a heavyweight who fought like a lightweight at some, how quick he was and how devastating he was. And he's just his impact as well. I think he was overall. I class him as the GOAT of boxing. And I think a lot of other boxers do as well. And I think that speaks to the volume of his career. And where he stands. So I think it's a good pick. I was close to picking him number 1. So he was a tight one.
It's the second of my 3rd people I'd have been happy taking at 101 gone. So there's 1 left. So hopefully Byron doesn't take the person I'm thinking of, but we'll see. But even things like around just things you associate with Ali and things that he was involved in that are just so synonymous with sport today. And 2 of the most recognizable fights, the Thriller in Manila, the Rumble in the Jungle, just things that live on 40, 50, 60 and will continue to live on years later. Obviously, has to have a dance partner in those because that's the way fighting works. But, he's synonymous with those things and, they're just, huge parts in sporting history. So, Yeah, I'm happy. I think it's a solid pick, Andy. Muhammad Ali, boxing's greatest. Probably should mention the fact he's got a song written after him called "The World's Greatest" because it's by an individual that isn't the world's greatest. So yeah, let's move on from that. Number 3, Byron at 3.
It's almost R. Kelly references 101 and 102 with Space Jam and The World's Greatest.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, yeah, it's not.
I think we struggle to squeeze one in here
guys.
though. Yeah, no need to worry about Ignition or anything coming up here. My clear 101, I'm delighted, is at 103 is Wayne Gretzky. An indisputed GOAT. If you've got an argument for someone else in ice hockey, I'd be stunned. Leading career goal scorer, assist producer, point scorer in NHL history. Has more career assists than any other player has total points. Only NHL player to total over 200 points in a season. He did it 4 times. He scored 100 points in 15 seasons, 13 of them consecutively. At the time of his retirement in 99, he had 61 NHL records, 40 regular season, 15 playoff records, and 6 All-Star records. His dominance was such that in fantasy NHL, you could only draft Wayne Gretzky's assists or Wayne Gretzky's goals. You could not draft the man himself. There's not domination like it, I don't think, in another sport, period. He went into the Hall of Fame instantly on his retirement. There was no waiting period for him. I think there's no one who comes close in hockey. I'm not sure there's a dominator in another sport like it, certainly in my lifetime. So, yeah, I think Wayne Gretzky's a easy GOAT and a clear GOAT relative to any other sport, I think.
My favourite Gretzky stat is that even if he never scored a goal in the NHL, he would still be the top point scorer in ice hockey just on his assists alone, which is incredible. Yeah.
Wow. It's like I say, it's just insane dominance. Like there's nothing like it.
It's like imagine if Kevin De Bruyne scored 50 goals a season along with all the goals himself as well. Like,
I often think of it. We play a lot of NFL fantasy, and like imagine if you only got Christian McCaffrey's rushing yards or receiving yards because he was so ridiculously dominant that you couldn't have both. Like it's impossible to imagine. Like you say, KDB's assists and goals, or Haaland gets the same amount of assists as he does goals. You can't draft Erling Haaland in FPL. Like to me, it's unimaginable to be that good at a sport that is. I mean, ice hockey as well is a brutal sport. It's not an easy sport to play. It's not an easy sport to dominate. Obviously, to me, it was 101, and I'm just delighted he fell to 103.
Nice. Yeah. I thought I was going to be able to take Gretzky on the loop. I just thought maybe it'd sneak to me. Kind of thought with Joe going first. Obviously, Joe's in Canada, so maybe slightly more akin to ice hockey than the rest of us. Terrible stereotype there. I do apologise to the people of Canada. But yeah, I thought I might get him on the loop because, just incredible. Just domination. His goals record might go soon, which would be a shame. I think Alexander Ovechkin's getting close if he carries on another couple of years. I think he's already over 40. Ovechkin will probably get there. But, that still would only take away one record that Gretzky has, and that's been in place for 25 years. So, incredible. Andy, much ice hockey. I mean, it's not a massive sport of mine I pay attention to, but just the name, it's the first name I think of when it comes to ice hockey.
Yeah, I mean, as an Oilers fan, I very much enjoyed hearing that pick. I think there's one stat that I think no other sport really has that really puts him in high regard, is that the whole NHL retired number 99. I think the whole is jersey number. Not we see a lot of sports where they'll retire the one number. You see it with football sometimes, but mainly American sports. But to have the whole league retire his shirt number, is that just again that just goes to add on to his GOAT status. And I think I'd probably say the reason why maybe he wouldn't get as high for me is because I don't think ice hockey is as popular as worldwide as the likes of even basketball. But you think of football, boxing, and even tennis. I think that there's other sports I probably mentioned later on that aren't as popular that probably do have you less on the list because you are playing for sport that is probably watched by less people. Where you should think of certain quarterback winning Super Bowls being named the GOAT or winning World Cups or Champions Leagues, and that is something that's been viewed by millions. But I just don't think the ice hockey's got the same numbers as maybe, particularly in the UK. I mean, it's the worst covered sport out of the 4 American ones. The coverage is terrible. I've never watched an Oilers game live on TV because the coverage is terrible. I always have to watch YouTube highlights. Whereas basketball, baseball, NFL, you get a lot more coverage. So I think, maybe because it's not got the appeal, maybe that's why I didn't really review Gretzky being as high. But I think you ask a Canadian or a hockey fan, they'll put Gretzky, I'm sure, number one of any sport, probably.
Yeah. Joe, what do you make of Gretzky?
Yeah, it was one of them. I just didn't know enough about it, and I've heard there's been arguments about Mario Lemieux versus Gretzky, where Gretzky might have the stats, but in terms of ability, there's a number of people who put Lemieux or even Gordon Howe. So I just didn't know enough about comparing and just looking at the stats. Obviously, Gretzky has most of them. I think Lemieux has more points per game than Gretzky, but I think I couldn't dive into it too much, so I didn't want to choose it and not be able to back up if someone said, "Oh, look, Mario Lemieux is better," and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, fair enough." So I don't mind it. I think it's I think it's closer than what Byron says in terms of what I've heard from sports media, where I've seen a few arguments, but when you look at the overall stats and whatnot, it looks like Gretzky. But
excellent. Yeah, Wayne Gretzky at number 3. I like it. I think it's three great picks so far. So I thought Gretzky might have just gone a bit later, maybe just due to maybe not as big an ice hockey representation. Might have got some value, but no, I think, there's going to be somebody who, who probably should be in the first round here who isn't going to be. I've still got one of my people who I think would be a good 1-1. I'm going to take them at 4 because they should definitely be in the first round. Joe's laughing already because he thinks it's going to be something absolutely ridiculous. It's not going to be ridiculous. It's going to be Tiger Woods. It's going to be absolutely Tiger Woods. And I think, again, this goes to impact on golf and domination over a prolonged period of time. So yes, Tiger doesn't have as many major wins as Jack Nicklaus, which is typically one of the argument that Nicklaus has got more majors. Tiger's got 15, still incredible. He's won 82 PGA Tour events, tied with Sam Snead. He's got the lowest career scoring average in PGA Tour history. He's got the most career earnings in PGA Tour history, including adjustments for inflation, because PGA Tour has been going for a while. He's only one of 5 players to have won all 4 majors, and he's the youngest to do it, and is the only player to have won 4 majors in a row, completing the Tiger Slam across 2000 and 2001. Crazy records that he's got. Things like most consecutive cuts made on the PGA Tour, it's 142. Most consecutive and cumulative weeks as world number 1. And the fact that he managed to come back to win that 15th major when there was an 11-year gap, when people thought he was finished and gone, and he came back and won the biggest tournament there is in golf, the Masters, in 2019. Just domination at times, that when he was on top, he didn't just win golf tournaments by a shot here, a shot there. He was winning by 12 shots, 15 shots, winning majors by 12 shots and 15 shots as well in the Masters in 97. And then the US Open in 2000. He was the only player to finish under par in one of those US Opens. He was 12 under par and he won by 15 shots. Just crazy level. He was just so far beyond anybody else. And and everyone, even to this day, Tiger playing when he can, given kind of the injuries that he's had and his leg kind of being had to be rebuilt and things like this, and his back injuries, he's still a huge event. And following Tiger around, no matter how well he's playing or not, he's still a massive draw on TV. And I think his Masters record of 24 consecutive cuts as well is insane at Augusta. 24 consecutive Masters he's played, and he's made the cut on what is possibly one of the most difficult golf courses in the world in the biggest situation. So for me, Tiger Woods at number 4, I think is a steal. I think that's great value at 4 to end the first round. Gents, what do you think to Tiger Woods? Not as a person.
I love it. I like the pick a lot. He's someone that, being a big golf fan myself, I was looking to put him in at some point, and I was annoyed that you took him because he was close on my list of being taken next. Because I don't think my person's going to be lasting till the next round. But for me, I love the pick. Very fortunate to have seen him play once in my life. I went to the Ryder Cup in 2010, which is literally on my doorstep pretty much, only about a half an hour drive away, which is very lucky to have an experience of watching him play. And the thing just you mentioned about impact, the aura he had walking around. So, we stood at this, I think came up at the 10th or the 11th hole or something like that, where we wait for all the players to come through, and no one else had the aura that he did. I mean, there was fan favourites like Ian Poulter was there, and there's other people that were there. Phil Mickelson was there, but when Tiger Woods walks in, it just everyone's just in awe of him, and it goes to that impact. Same thing as Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, and Wayne Gretzky. I'm sure as well for him. You can go anywhere, and just everyone almost just looks around and stops what they're doing if you come through the room. So I think that goes a long way. And yeah, you mentioned his record there. I mean, that early 2000s era he had was just unbelievable. I think if it wasn't for maybe some of his off the field antics, maybe he would have had even closer to Jack Nicklaus. He may have even beaten Jack Nicklaus if he hadn't had that few years off. But nevertheless, what a career he had! What a career he had!
Yeah, and I've no doubt he'd have been 20 plus easy majors without kind of obviously what happened and time away and the injuries and stuff. But that's part of sport, I guess, as well. But yeah, just incredible, and just domination for that period of time. So it was that period from 97 to mid 2000, 2004, 2005. Yeah, it was just untouchable. Byron Joe, anything for Tiger?
I mean, no disagreement from me. He wasn't on my list because I knew someone else would take him, truthfully. I'm not a huge golf guy, so I can't speak to his dominance. I knew he had it, but in terms of his numbers, etc. But I know that he was by far the best for an awful long time. I can't speak too much to him because I'm not a golf guy, but I know that he's certainly, I wouldn't argue him being the GOAT.
Yeah, I think there's still arguments why Jack Nicklaus is argued there just with his results, and I think when you include his runners-up and third place is ridiculous at the majors. But yeah, I think what Tiger Woods did, he changed the sport, which I think a lot of people just thought it was old guys or overweight guys like going around slowly, and it was that kind of sport to making it exciting where anyone can join, and it spread the game across the globe. I feel like with Tiger Woods, so yeah, great pick for.
Yeah, made golf cool, right? I've got the chance now, Joe, to undo all that good work, but I'm torn between two at number 5, so it's me to go again on the loop back around. I'm torn between two. Should I do what this? Should I make the pick for what our podcast is for in terms of the sport that we cover, or should I go somebody else? I'm going to go someone else, and we talked about Andy picked Muhammad Ali a couple of picks ago. So I think there's a couple of things in sports, individual sports, I should say as well, that make me think like that they're like the top thing. So being like heavyweight champion of the world is like up there as like one of the biggest sporting accolades you can have in boxing. And the other one is being the fastest man on the planet. So my pick is Usain Bolt, fastest and possibly coolest man on the planet as well. But Usain Bolt is going to be my pick at 5 to kick off the second round. Again, the prestige of the Olympic 100-meter champion or the Olympic or the 100-meter world record holder. I think that says a lot. It's just sometimes some of the simplest things in sports are running in a straight line for 100 meters. Who's the fastest person? And Usain Bolt again, dominance over a sport. So I think probably I'll put it in the start. I think it would be the great sprinter. Would be the claim for Bolt. He won 100 meter and 200 meter gold at 3 consecutive Olympic Games: 2008 Beijing, London 2012, and Rio 2016. He did also win the 4x100 meters treble, but sadly, treble in those Olympics. But sadly, one was taken away due to one of his pals failing a drug test. But still, just that 100 meters and 200 meters gold at 3 consecutive Olympics is just complete domination of the sprinting world. He holds a record, still holds a record, 100 meters. I think it's 9.58 and 200 meter world records. He set them just 4 days apart. Imagine doing that. Just both the records set 4 days apart in the World Championships in Berlin. And he'd done the same thing, 100 meters and 200 meters world records at the Beijing Olympics in 2008, just days apart. Just craziness. Usain Bolt for me, the most possibly the most laid back athlete. Certainly one of the coolest guys. And he does a bit for Soccer Aid now as well, doesn't he, as well? Tends to play up front for the Soccer Aid team as well. But yeah, Usain Bolt, the undisputed GOAT of the sprinting world for me.
You're 45-year-old centre half, and you've got Usain Bolt on your fucking shoulder. Come on, mate, do me a favour. That's a better pick than your Tiger Woods one for me. Usain Bolt was my next pick. Undisputed GOAT in sprinting. I can't say enough good things about Usain Bolt. I absolutely love the man. And you didn't even touch on when he beat Gatlin in the World Championships, Gatlin off his drugs ban. And that was a World Championship, not Olympics. One of my favourite track and field memories, because it was really Bolt towards the end of his career, and Gatlin's going to take him, and then Bolt just came and blew him out of fucking water. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about Usain Bolt. He was my next pick, and absolutely love the fella. Love the pick.
Yeah, I'm happy. I have a strong start. I'm happy. Tiger Woods and Usain Bolt. I'm sitting pretty so far. I'm liking it. Yeah, anything else to add for Usain Bolt, Andy or Joe?
Yeah, can't really argue against it. I'd forgotten it was 4 days apart because I did I want to say it was a 5K run over lockdown, and I could barely move the rest of the day. So to imagine doing all of that, like to be the fastest man in the world in 2 different kind of competitions in 4 days, it's unbelievable. And there's not really that comes close. You think of sprinters, and again, it goes back to making things cool. No one really, even now, I don't really look forward to the Olympics 100-meter race. And I think even before he came to the scene, I never really thought, I'm going to watch this. But when that 2008 happened, I remember the next Olympics, you were all, I know it was in London and we biased as UK, but we were all just looking forward to sitting for a sport the last 10 seconds in a final. Everyone wanted to watch him, and that goes a long way to this. Same thing as Tiger Woods, same thing with Muhammad Ali. You want to watch Usain Bolt. He is the guy, and I think it's definitely one of the more clear GOATs in sports. I think Gretzky probably is the most clearest GOAT. Maybe you could argue with Babe Ruth could be that as well, but for me, yeah, Usain Bolt. There's no one really that comes close to him.
Yeah, and I was going
to say the fact that it's a sprint, and one of the races he's just turning into someone just having a smile, just like look like jogging in, and it's on 100 meters. Like how everyone's just like using straining, going, and he's just there smiling away. Look, so if you're not the greatest of all time, when you can relax in a 100-meter sprint, then
it's a 10-second event. He spends 20% of it chilling.
Exactly.
I think the only times that he didn't do that was when he set the world records.
Yeah. Well, when he set the world, I'm pretty sure when he set the world record in the Beijing final for 100 meters, he slowed down as well, and he still beat the world record. And then obviously went to, 12 months later in the Berlin World Championships, kept putting it in. But yeah, 9.58 seconds. It's just crazy.
And again, I will not hear a bad word about Usain Bolt, period. But like, his start isn't even that smooth. What could he do if he really if he worked 100% on every part of his, get up and go? How quick could he be? And also, I just love the chill thing of like openly just like, oh yeah, I just eat McDonald's chicken nuggets before a race. My hero. That's what I do before a podcast for similar kind of output levels.
Good stuff. Right. Usain Bolt is in the books. Byron, back to you with your second round pick. Who are we taking with the number 6 overall pick?
Well, if I can't take the greatest Olympic sprinter of all time, I'll just take the greatest Olympian of all time, Michael Phelps. More gold medals than anyone has medals.
Andy, that was Andy's next pick, clearly.
Yeah, he has 23 gold medals at the Olympics, 28 total. The next highest is Larissa Latvinia, a Soviet Union gymnast, who has 18 total medals, 9 golds. It's again, I'm looking for my GOAT. I want to be undisputed and beyond doubt. Wayne Gretzky, I think, done that in the first round. Michael Phelps in the second round is just pick a better swimmer, pick a better Olympian.
Yeah, double go. Yeah, Olympian and swimming. Yeah,
it's just it's like an amphibious machine. It just you put him in the pool, he wins gold medals. He smashes everything in his wake. It is like Usain Bolt of water. Like, it's just a sight for sore eyes. It is incredible to watch. It always was. It was just, this man is going to dominate everybody that's in the pool with him. Again, like Usain Bolt, can't say enough good things about the guy. Just loved watching him compete and dominate. Also seemed a very chill and cool guy off the pool, out of the field. away from his event.
Out of the water.
Which definitely helps. Yeah, off the water. On dry land. Which certainly helps, again, me cheer for, the person. But even if he was an asshole, truthfully, when you are that dominant, I struggle to look elsewhere. So, yeah, Michael Phelps, my 202.
The nature of the sport, I think, we saw. I'm not this old, but of Spitz did it. Was it in 72 around? Was it 6 gold medals? 7? I was forgetting.
I think so. He finished with 9 total Spitz.
Yeah.
He was at the 68 games as well, though, but 72 was
one
the
Olympics.
One.
I think was it 7 gold? Yeah. And then Phelps just comes along and just
blows him out the water.
Yeah. I wasn't going to go with that. That was the first. I don't want to say it, but just incredible. A couple of the bits that I just think are mad. Again, Neil Phelps has got a list of records and achievements as long. He over the course of his career, he set 39 different world records. We talked about like Usain Bolt being a 100 meter, 200 meter. This guy did everything. All the different strokes he did. The relays, the medleys, incredible. Yeah, Michael Phelps, Andy. Clearly, that was going to be your next pick from your reaction.
I thought it was going to be locked in. I was looking forward to but it's how them breaks, they say. But yeah, it's you can't argue that. Unbelievable Olympian. I mean, it's just what more can you say? I think you guys have really said it better than I ever could, and that's all that needs to be said. Really, it's unbelievable Olympian, just absolute dominance for years.
Just again, another appointment viewing. I remember like the Olympics, there's certain people you watch out for. Like if I sit down and watch Bolt, if I sit down and watch Phelps, and quite a difficult sport to watch. A difficult sport to watch on TV as well, swimming really. But you still kind of watch it. I don't know if Phelps is going to be on. I'm going to try and make sure I can watch it. Just incredible. Joe, any thoughts on Phelps?
Yeah, I was hoping it would slide to 8 as well. I was just trying to keep quiet and just, not liking how this draft's going right now. It's a lot of my picks, which I was like, it might sneak there, is going out the window. So, great pick. Like Byron said, is definitely there for one of the greatest Olympian, not just within his sport of swimming. So, can't complain. Great pick.
Excellent, good stuff. Right, any more to add on Phelps before we move back to Andy? We're just stalling to buy Andy a little bit more time to make his next pick. Cool. Let's go to Andy then. Number 7, your second pick, Andy. Phelps has just been snatched out of your grasp. Who's it going to be?
Right. I'm torn between 2 people here, and I'm still trying to decide now. God, this is tough. I think I'm going to go for this guy purely because I think he's got more of a global audience. I'm going to go for Lionel Messi. I think that again, you can't argue with stats. I mean, I saw a stat about the amount of goals he and Ronaldo scored. I think Haaland would have to score 40 goals at least every season for the next 17 years to match Ronaldo and Messi's goal scoring records, or something crazy like that. And you look at the natural ability he has, and I think there's some players you can look at the stats, but they haven't maybe got the talent as much, or vice versa. Some players they have talent but not the accolades. Shout out Dan Marino. But for me, Messi has both, and a guy again goes back to impact. I mean, football is the most watched sport in the world, and I think it is a clear go. I think maybe a year or 2 ago I had Ronaldo maybe more of a debate, because I think that when Messi hadn't won the World Cup, when he was struggling at PSG, Ronaldo started off at Man U, second spell really well. I think there was people were saying maybe he was closer than we think, but I think the way it's gone, I think Messi for me, I think I'd have probably Maradona more than Ronaldo in my GOAT sort of talk. But for me, I think Messi, just for his impact on the world, I mean, the guy can't walk around a supermarket and not get absolutely pelted with fans. I mean, playing in a country right now where football is probably the 5th or 6th most watched sport, football is still, or soccer is not, the MLS especially is not that well liked in America. I think they still love their main American sports. Even him to not be able to walk through a supermarket without being mobbed, I think that says a lot about his his how much of a GOAT he is and how good he is in football. Some of the goals he scored in his career, the one early on in his career for Barcelona where he basically carbon copied Maradona's goal against England. You think of all the Champions Leagues he won, and there's a lot of players that they can be good all year round, but they don't perform when it matters. But Messi did that, scored the Champions League finals multiple times. Even though we had only 2 goals for open play, he did score goals in that World Cup and he won it. And I think, for me, he is just elegant and just so naturally talented, and that the stability he has. He can score from range. He can score headers from tight angles. He can make runs half length of the pitch. And you can make the argument that he's only really done it in really one country, but at the same time, you can't dispute the stats. I mean, looking at his stat right now, his goals, I mean, is absolutely phenomenal. So for Barcelona, he had 778 appearances in all competitions, 672 goals. I mean, that alone is that is outrageously good. And almost 1,000 goals. He only got 738 goals in 911 games for club and country. Actually, that might be just club. For Argentina, he's got another 122. So he's almost got 1,000 goals for club and country. Unbelievable. And I think, for me, Messi is definitely the football GOAT. And I was surprised he made it this far at number 7.
Yeah, I thought he might have got taken a little bit earlier. And I agree. And I think if there was any doubt, I think that the World Cup win for sure should have ended any doubts. Yeah, sadly, my team on the end of a couple of those Champions League final goals of
hey,
losing to Barca twice in 3 years. But yeah, I think for me, what you view on this, I don't know. I won't tip picks just in case anybody else does take somebody. But yeah, Byron, Joe, any debate for you on Messi as the soccer GOAT football? I get slandered every time I say soccer on our show.
I can imagine.
It's funny, whenever I say it in America, people are like, don't you mean football? I'm like, yeah, I do mean football, but you're not going to know what I mean in America here. Zero argument for me. Messi was my GOAT well before the World Cup, but like Paul says, I think it removes any kind of doubt of people who would say, maybe Cristiano. Like, he now has the World Cup on top of that, and it is a team game, so I don't think you can strictly say, well, you have to have won the World Cup to be the GOAT. But it certainly helps. With all them goal-scoring stats, he's also the best dribbler of all time, in my opinion. Probably the best passer I've ever seen as well. It's just like art, basically, watching Lionel Messi. I can't say enough good things about him. Football's my first love of any sport, probably of anything in my life, truthfully. And watching Lionel Messi throughout his entire career has been nothing truly but like a blessing. I didn't take him early enough because I don't think, again, I've tried to go with athletes that are more clear GOAT-ish, but to me, Messi is a clear GOAT. Like you said, it's the most watched, most played sport in the world. He's a global icon, unlike any other, really. Zero arguments here, and I think he's a great value here as well. Like I said, I picked my 2 based more on pure dominance of their one sport, but I still think he's a great pick here.
Yeah, I'm similar. Yeah, I always thought Messi was better. I'm just curious. I don't think I would have picked him. Well, I would have picked him at 7, but before that, because I think the argument has been said, but there's probably still a lot of people would say Ronaldo is better, and it depends on. I've always thought Messi was the greatest player. It could be some argument that Ronaldo could be a better goal scorer or like just the machine kind of player, but I think the general football all round, you would say Messi. So it was just because that argument. I think it's gone away more, but I still think there'll be plenty of people who would argue either way. So I would choose Messi.
And I think Ronaldo does have the better goal scoring numbers, right? I don't have it up in front of me because I have Messi on my sheet. I don't have Ronaldo. Not tipping picks here, but I don't. I'm sort of tipping the picks there, I guess. I didn't actually look up Ronaldo's numbers, but I think his goal scoring numbers are a bit better, which was always a thing people would point to. But it's like, just watch the game. And Ronaldo is a machine, but Messi, to me, like I say, is just like a work of art. Always.
I thought maybe for like a little bit of time, I wasn't fully on with it, but when Portugal won the Euros, I was like, maybe that just puts Ronaldo ahead a little bit. Just because his manager, obviously, he came off injured in that final. He dragged Portugal in 2016.
And he did it off when he was on the bench as well, truthfully. He was like a coach. It was very, I don't like Ronaldo, but that was inspiring.
Yeah, like I thought maybe that might have just popped in my head a little bit, but yeah, certainly I think. But Messi, can he do it on a wet and windy Tuesday night at Stoke? Probably, yeah, I'm sure
he's doing it in Seattle. I mean, that's kind of as wet and windy as you get.
Close enough. Excellent. Yeah, great value pick there, Andy, at 7. I think. Yeah, I think that's fell nice for you, Joe. To finish off round 2.
Yeah, I'm surprised this one's not gone earlier. I'm guessing this is who you were choosing between Paul, with the sport that we do cover. So I'm going to take the recently roasted Tom Brady as the number 8 pick as the greatest of all time quarterback. I think he was up for debate probably 5 or 6 years ago, but I just feel how he ended with the Patriots and then what he did with the Buccaneers straight off. I think he just cemented him as being the greatest quarterback of all time with, 7 championship, holding all the records, and just his overall play. And I think, I don't know if he has he's one of them players where he doesn't have the greatest athlete and the athletic ability compared to some other ones, but his measurables are just things you can't measure, basically, and why he's the greatest. It pains for me to say, because he was always one of them players that everyone hated, and I was included, but everyone hated him because he was the greatest, and he somehow won games which they shouldn't win, and he was always there and thereabouts. So yeah, I'm going to go Tom Brady for my second round pick at number 8.
Part and parcel, like I say, we've maybe mentioned a few, but there's not many people who dominate a sport, whether that's the team or individual, and is universally liked. Like Usain Bolt's probably an exception to that. Maybe Tiger to an extent as well, Muhammad Ali, but not many. Like when people are dominant, people want to see them fall. I think that's probably going to happen to the Chiefs now as well. I think they've crossed that territory now as
Harrison Butker's doing his work there.
Oh, Harrison Butker, yeah, he's not helping that at all. Should stay away from a microphone for a while. It happened to the Patriots, happened to Liverpool, happened to Manchester United. People just don't like them because they've been successful.
Funnily, it's happened to Arsenal and they haven't even won anything.
That is true. But yeah, Brady, I think great. It's interesting you face it. I was wondering whether you were going to go like greatest pitcher's greatest American football player, but greatest quarterback, I think. Yeah, I think he's the only other one up for debate. Montana, and Joe obviously was a San Francisco 49er.
I think
greatest career it's Brady. Yeah. Sorry, Joe, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say the same. I think it's one of them where you could probably split his career into like threes, maybe quarters, and if someone had that career, their whole career, they would probably be like a Hall of Famer, and everyone would be, what a great quarterback. So the fact is at different eras, and he's managed to, where they've had the down years, and it felt like he's never had like a bad season, which I think was like how long he's played for, maybe like the last season, but they're still in the division, and got to the
and even like the couple of down years in New England was always partnered with division wins at the bare minimum. So like even if Brady didn't perform to like Patrick Mahomes' gaudy numbers, his leadership and the way he sets a culture, again, those things you can't really define in terms of like stats or anything else, but like it's very clear how important that was to all the franchises he played, the 2 franchises he played for.
Andy's hating us giving all this love to the Patriots and Brady. It's a big man.
Do you know what is actually? I've always said I always hate the Patriots. I can never really truly hate Brady. I don't know. A lot of Dolphins fans I know in the fan, they absolutely hate him, and I've never. I understand why. Don't get me wrong. I know why, because I can't hate a guy who's just doing his job. It's different if there's players like Richarlison. Does make it easy for himself, and I can see why people would hate Neil Maupay. I think, but I can't be hating a guy. He's not going to sit there and go, well, I can't perform today because there's some guy in Wales or some guy in Stoke-on-Trent who wants to perform badly. But I find him the same thing as Pep. I find him very endearing. Someone you can't really dislike, and for me, it's I can't argue with that choice as well. He was the actual guy I was torn between him and Messi. That was the other guy I was torn with. And I think people like to say a lot of times, he didn't have the arm or he was carried, but he had the 4-time passing yards leader, and he had 5 times where he's passing touchdowns. And I always think about that. He won 7 Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, lost a Super Bowl where he had over 500 yards plus against the Eagles.
Yeah.
And and didn't win the Super Bowl with his best receiver he ever had in Randy Moss. So if he's winning Super Bowls with Abby Amendola making big plays, with Julian Edelman, who they weren't bad players, but they're not like a Randy Moss or a Jerry Rice or he had Gronkowski. Don't get me wrong, but he never really had the same weapons. You think of like nowadays, Joe Burrow had Jamar Chase and
T.
Higgins and Tyler Boyd, and as a three, that's better than Amendola and Edelman for me personally. But fair play to Brady and those guys when it came to when it mattered, they performed. So for me, to be playing still the age he's at, I think goes a long way as well. Longevity goes a long way. I think in some of these debates, for him to still win Super Bowls and be one of the best players in the league at an age where 20 years ago, for example, shows how far we've gone sports science wise. You're done by 31, so in most sports. So can't really argue with that at all.
I think
the favorite of the Brady. There's so many different Brady stats, and again, list of achievements. But probably my favorite one: only player to win the Super Bowl in 3 different decades.
Yeah, and I think kind of along with that isn't a stat or anything, but like you look at the word clutch in the dictionary, and it's going to be Tom Brady. Like it is, whatever any arm talent or working with what he has, just when it comes down to time to do business, I don't think there's another quarterback who's as driven, who has that will to win. And again, those things can be tough to define, but you see his impact on his teammates and you see his impact on the game that he just, again, I don't think there's another quarterback who's ever played the game who would refuse to lose as much as Tom Brady did. I think that's how he got the most out of what he had. And I think just if you can be defined by a word like clutch, I think that not much more to say.
Yeah. Cool. Good stuff. Great value. I thought this had gone way before it was who I was debating when I was taking Usain Bolt, but I just couldn't let Bolt slide any further. So, but Tom Brady ends the second round. Start us off with the third round, Joe. So pick number 9.
So this one gets a bit trickier. So I think it's getting into certain sports, and I think I'm going to go the route what Byron's gone down in terms of the undisputed athlete who there's no argument he is not the greatest within his sport, and I'm going to go Phil the Power Taylor in darts.
Wow!
Just because when you look at his stats versus everyone else, there's no point. Just the amount of world titles he's got 16 altogether. I think the next best, and that's across both PDC and whatever the other one is. No one cares about the other one.
WDO, if I made that up?
Something like that.
BDO,
yeah.
The next person has only got 5 titles, and he's got 16. And when you just look, he went on an unbeaten streak. I think it was from 94 to 2001. I can't remember. I was just reading about it then because I was. It's just crazy the amount he's won, and when you just look at the sport of darts, he's just the unequivocal GOAT. So I don't think it's bad. Number 9.
That's the kind of third Stoke-on-Trent reference we've had on this podcast, which is very odd. But
I'm glad it's finally beating out R. Kelly. I'm glad that you made it clear there the sport of darts, not a game, right?
When he said, when Joe said in his thing, I'm going to focus on the athletes, and then we said Phil the Power Taylor.
Athletes all, you look at the big old linemen and they're big old boys and they're still athletes. So why the hell Phil Taylor's not, I bet he's had a few pints as well. That's a true athlete who can perform on that kind of level and still knock a few back.
Yeah, it would have been me if it had got back round. I'd have been taking Phil Taylor. Yeah, especially with darts, it's come back around. It feels like it's come back round again. It's spiked in popularity. It maybe went away for a few years, but then with kind of the run of Luke Littler to the World Championship final over Christmas, and that's just kind of injected it again, and it's ascending again as a sport. But Phil Taylor, just incredible. Just again, sheer dominance.
I think it's easy to forget how dominant he was, truthfully. Like Joe mentioned his stats there, I remember him being good. He wasn't on my list, truthfully. I just didn't think about darts. But again, no argument for me that he's the darting GOAT. I just, again, didn't really cross my mind. But you forget for years and years. I got sick of seeing him, truthfully. I don't know if that's a common experience for everyone else as well. But he just, again, like we're saying with Tom Brady, I'm going to come with the Chiefs. Like, you just get sick of seeing the same faces winning and winning and winning. And yeah, that's kind of the good things about Olympic people. Like, you only see them every 4 years. Whereas Phil Taylor, it felt like it was every Christmas, it was Phil Taylor winning the World Championship again.
Yeah. So the stat I fumbled over. So basically, the longest unbeaten run in the PDC World Dash Championship was Phil the Power Tail, 44 matches, and that was in between 95 and 2003, and that was sandwiched in between losing 2 finals either side. So the fact you've gone from 95 to 2003, basically won every game, won every single championship.
I think I remember reading that as well. If he'd won those finals, he'd have actually ended up on 180.
Excellent. Yeah, 8 world titles in a row in that span is ridiculous. Yeah, 14 world PDC World Championships in 18 years is just crazy. Yeah. Phil Power-Taylor, yeah. No arguments from me, Joe. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else that comes close. Yeah, he was on my list. He was going to come back around to me. I was hoping, but sadly not. Byron,
I'll pick up Randy probably.
Are you going? Is it? Yes, it is. Sorry, Andy. Yeah, sorry. I've got the order. I've got the order in front of me as well, and I've still got it wrong.
Trying to give my picks away is disgraceful.
Sorry, mate. I do apologise, Andy. Andy, who are you taking with your 3rd round pick?
See, this is a sport where I've got 2 people I was torn between. Now, I think if you put this person that I haven't picked against the person I have picked, then I think that they would win. But I think in their sort of part of the sport, in the males part of the sport, it's a lot more in debate. But the female aspect is completely undisputed. I'm going for Serena Williams as my next pick. I think you go I mean, Djokovic, Federer, Nadal. You can make an argument for all 3 of them, or even further back other players in the past. But she is one of only 2 women in tennis history to achieve a career Golden Slam, and that is where you not only win all your majors but also win Olympic gold as well, and there's one more as well. So it's Olympic gold, all Paralympic gold, but also the only woman to do it in both singles and doubles events. It's unbelievable what she did. And looking at her further on then as well, she had a total of a career record of 192 wins and 35 losses, giving her an 84.6% percentage record, 23 career titles, 4 Australian Opens, 2 French Opens, 6 Wimbledons, and 2 US Opens. And I think we look at things like American football, even rugby, where it's a team sport where people go, people often look at sometimes you can have a great player, but in a bad team, Steven Gerrard, for example, or sometimes a really bad player in a really good team that wins. And I've forgotten the guy's name, the Ravens quarterback, and Trent Dilfer. You look at all this where they're carried by other people, or they carry others and don't win anything, or they get carried and they win stuff. But with tennis, individual sports, same with golf, it's them on their own. You have no other people to blame apart from yourself. So if you're winning that many career titles in whatever sport that is, it just goes to show again just how good you can be in that sport. So yeah, for me, Serena Williams is for me my pick at 8, and I think it's in terms of women's sport. I think you could argue maybe she's the greatest ever women's female sports person. I think there's some people may put Martina Navratilova involved in that. I think she's the other person to get a career gold slam, but yeah, there's not many that did it better than Serena Williams.
Yeah, first lady off the board as well, and again after Phil, I was going to go Serena. So yeah, good pick, and yeah, I think the only other I wouldn't make this argument, but some may say what Steffi Graf did, possibly dominating the late 80s, early 90s, but yeah, Serena for me, just incredible, just taking like women's tennis and evolved it. I think in terms of kind of what's taking that game on further, the physicality, the baseline, the baseline element of it, the those long rallies with those booming baseline shots that Serena was so well known for, and yeah, just a great athlete. Yeah, Byron, do you have anything on Serena?
Was on my list. Might have been my next pick, truthfully. I was kind of torn between 2, so obviously take the second one. Andy summed it up really well. I didn't realize she'd done the doubles Golden Slam as well. That's absolutely incredible. What a year that was. Went with 2014, I guess, maybe 2016, probably. Am I on the wrong years? In fact, I'm on the wrong fours.
Yeah.
Yeah. My word, that's incredibly impressive. And yeah, she was my tennis GOAT. I think, like you said, with Nadal, Djokovic, Federer, there's so much kind of picky kind of favourite there. Whereas I think for Serena, I think Margaret Court has a beat in total tournament wins, but a lot of them were in the amateur era. I think Serena stands clear in the Open era for female tennis players, and yeah, just truly, truly dominant for such a long time.
Excellent. Great pick again. Andy, your board is shaping up rather nicely. Byron, onto your pick with the 11th overall pick and your third pick.
So yeah, another, again, I think undisputed GOAT in their field, Don Bradman. Can't, if you don't know who Don Bradman is, obviously played an awful long time ago. His career test batting average of 99.94 is unassailable in cricket. Nobody ever gets close. If you get 60, you're a good batsman, a very, very good batsman in this day and age. 99.94 is unbelievable. An absolute icon in Australia. Played 52 test matches, got 29 centuries in that time, 13 half centuries, scored nearly 7,000 runs. Just the greatest batsman of all time, and I don't think there's anyone who would make an argument otherwise. I'd love to see it. I'd be interested. I'm not as into cricket as I used to be, but I know Bradman just has always been the GOAT of cricket from, his entire period he was in it.
It's my first. I'm a big cricket fan as well, but it's my first where that wasn't in my 16, just because I think it's a little bit older. That's probably a bit unfair.
It is, also, you know what GOAT stands for, right?
Yes, maybe Tendulkar. I don't know, and there's maybe a couple of the West Indian players as well. But yeah, it's still a very good pick, and also I think would probably be the one at the top. But I think it could maybe push Tendulkar as being on that same level. And but yeah, Don Bradman. I think if there was going to be a cricket one picked, I'm not surprised. It is the great Don Bradman.
When Nelson Mandela was freed from prison, he actually asked, "Is Don Bradman still alive?" An incredible bit of pop culture trivia for you there for his impact on the world.
Is he still batting? Still at the crease?
Good stuff. Joe, Andy, I don't know if you're big cricket guys. Anything to add on Don Bradman?
Yeah, I just struggle when it's hard when it's like from that era, and the similar, like there's a few players in basketball and stuff like that. It's like the level of competition and all of that and how it all works. And I think that's the hardest to judge when it's from an era where, would any of them bowlers even get into the local teams now? I don't know. So it's tricky to figure out, are they great all the time, or is it just because of the era they played that they could, if you put Tendulkar playing in the whenever Bradman were playing, would he have got their stats as well? So I always find that tricky, but you can't really 99 average. It's not too shabby, is it?
It's pretty damn good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I despise cricket, so I didn't really give cricket too much of a thought. I did have some Tendulkar in my head. He's the only guy I knew that was considered one of the best. Brian Lara, because like Tiger Woods, has got a game on PlayStation named after him.
It's always a good sign, if you've got a video game.
And a real good game. Brian Lara cricket, I loved that growing up.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't really given cricket too much of a thought. And I think you're right about the age time thing. I think you look at someone I have considered is someone like Babe Ruth, but it goes back to, again, it's like he died in, I think, 67. So I think it goes to show the era he was in. I think he was born in 1889 or something. So again, obviously someone I didn't watch my lifetime, but I just do think that that was a long time ago, and it's just a question of whether, obviously he is a GOAT of that sport, people say, but it's just, that goes back to that thing of, were they good because people around them just weren't as good.
Cool, good stuff. Anything else to add on Bradman before we move on? I'm stalling, by the way, because I'm torn between 4. I've got 2 picks to make. No? Okay, we'll move on. Me, again, finishing off the third round. Yeah, I'm torn between 4. And this is where I might just tank my draft with some of the obscure ones that I've got that I really do want to talk about because I think they're awesome. maybe don't belong on this board, but they're just awesome. So, but I'm not. I'm going to go one. We've just finished off the Snooker World Championships not too long ago. Staple event in the British sports calendar. Didn't win it this year, but he certainly probably, by far and away the most popular snooker player, I'd say. I mean, if he just tried 100% of the time, it'd be amazing to see what he could actually achieve. And he could probably win that World Championship playing with his other hand. I'm going to go for the Rocket Ronnie O'Sullivan as the greatest snooker player of all time. Greatest, probably also greatest personality as well. Everyone loves a bit of a tortured genius. I think, maybe Ronnie brings out himself a little bit sometimes, but sometimes he can be bothered. Sometimes he can't be asked. He seems to win more when he can't be asked. I don't know, but it's just he's just a mesmerizing watch. Again, probably one of those sportsmen, even if you don't necessarily like snooker, you sit down and enjoy watching Ronnie. And I think, just incredible. His attitude to the sport, the way he plays it. I think snooker went through some doldrums where it was kind of really boring. Ronnie makes it exciting. Just, we'll play ridiculous shots. And just, all-time, an all-time great, and for me, the greatest snooker player. There's been 7-time world champion. He's won it all. And he's probably going to end up winning a world championship in his 50s. I think he's 48 now. He'll carry on. There's no doubt. I think he'll win a few more. He's tied with Stephen Hendry on 7. There's no doubt he will surpass him. Ronnie, he's just great. I love Ronnie. He's brilliant. Thoughts on Ronnie O'Sullivan?
Yeah, I had him on my list. I was actually going to potentially go from next. To be 48 and still 5th in the world rankings wise, phenomenal. Looking at his highest ranking, he'll be number 1. He's done it from May 2002 to May 2003. He was world number 1 from May 2004 to May 2006. He was world number 1 from May 2008 to May 2010. And then March to August 2019 and April 2022 to May 2024. So to be number 1 in the world, really until only literally 2 months ago, and do that for 2 years at the age of what had been 46 in 2022, unbelievable. And I think that, again, I think to be that good when, as you say, never really tried or didn't look like he was trying, it just goes to show again, like Messi, his natural ability. And I would love to see one day. I thought this the other day about, imagine if you didn't know who he was and he challenged you to a game of pool in how, because I'm really bad at pool, but I really enjoy playing it. Just imagine playing against him in your local. He would just absolutely tear you apart. And I would love to see that scenario. And I think he talked about in the past that as a kid, he used to challenge people to pool games and all that and make some money from it. But unbelievable. I got no qualms with Ronnie O'Sullivan being in this list. I think he should be, to be honest.
Yeah, I just think he's a great personality. I think that goes a long way, especially in maybe a sport of snooker where, again, historically, you had a few, maybe Alex Higgins and a few others who are true personalities. Maybe you don't get that with them. They're a bit robotic and a bit boring, some of the snooker players. You don't get that with Ronnie. I think just the constant tortured mind of Ronnie O'Sullivan is incredible as well. I think that's just a huge part that plays in him. And when just sometimes he just really cannot be bothered and still just hammers people, it's just great. Cool. Right, I'm going to make this pick, and this is definitely going to ruin my draft, but I've got to make it. I don't think it could sit with me if we did a GOAT draft and this person wasn't on it. So it stems from, and this is a sport. Well, you might say otherwise, but I'm going to say this is definitely a sport, by the way, because it's covered on ESPN.
Yes, I know where you're going with this. Oh, I'm so excited for this.
Might be ESPN the Ocho, but it's still ESPN. Every year, 4th of July, obviously, hugely important day in America. On the 4th of July in Coney Island, New York, a contest is held. The most American contest there is, a hot dog eating contest to celebrate Independence Day. And this man is the king of it. Joey Chestnut, the king of competitive eating and the king of the Nathan's hot dog competition. I just wouldn't feel right him not being on here. If he was only as an honourable mention, I'd feel very, very sad. This guy's incredible. He doesn't just take part in the Coney Island hot dog eating contest, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. He covers all different ones, but this is the one he's probably most well known for. Joey Chestnut holds a record of eating 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes. utterly ridiculous. The man looks like me as well. He's like tall and skinny. It's crazy how he does it. But he holds a variety of different world records across chicken wings, burritos, anything you can name. He does. He's a unbelievable physical specimen. He may not necessarily live for a very long time, but yeah, Joey Chestnut, 16-time Nathan's hot dog eating contest champion, is my fourth round pick, and I'm so glad we got it on. Love Joey Chestnut, guy, and he's still heard of him.
Oh, he was on my list as well. I did think about putting him in. Unbelievable! You can't ignore his stats. You can't ignore greatness when you see it.
Absolutely, and yeah, not necessarily a sport that we're very familiar with, but yeah, absolutely. Just crushes that. And it's an event. Yeah, if you've never seen, I want to say go watch. It is a tough watch because it just looks disgusting. But the pageantry around the Nathan's hot dog eating contest is fantastic. And Joey Chestnut is treated like a true rock star in them as 16-time champion. And just all around competitive eating superstar. Byron, I'm guessing you've heard of Joey Chestnut living in America.
Yeah, we swear allegiance to him every July 4th.
Yeah. Not because he likes hot dogs. That's what you're going to say.
Not sure what you've heard. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. To be fair, this has blown up your draft board.
I just couldn't do it and him not go.
I thought we were pushing it with Phil Taylor.
It does take takes some. I don't know the entire world. It takes some training to do and to be able to do it. Like, fair play to him, but yeah. How many of those Nathan's hot dogs do you think you could eat in 10 minutes? Let's go round. Byron.
I'm a really slow eater, probably fucking 2. I'm terrible. I can't eat quickly.
Joe.
In 10 minutes.
Yeah. But bun and all. It's not just the sausage.
Yeah.
It's the bun as well.
I've got 10. 1 a minute.
Well, that seems a lot. Andy, how many do you reckon you're knocking down, mate?
See, a fun fact you may not know, I got dared by my friends back 2 years ago. I was at a festival in Spain to try and eat 5 donuts in one go. I did it in 2 minutes and 4 seconds. I feel like I could give myself a good go of this. I'm looking now at the size of these hot dogs. I think if there's not much on them, because these donuts were glazed, they weren't too sickly. I reckon in 10 minutes, I could do 42.
Andy Chestnut.
I don't think I could do what was 76 he did in 10 minutes, but I think I could
in 10 minutes.
I reckon I could. I've always said I reckon I could. The one sport I could make professional would be professional eating. I can eat quickly when I want to. So I feel like, yeah,
40 in 10 minutes is like. Am I doing my maths? But that's like 1 every 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like,
the technique that these guys go is
70 is what 1 every 10 seconds.
It's crazy. Watch
1 every 7 seconds.
Yeah, you better find one of the contests on YouTube.
They're getting wet, right? So they go down easier.
Yeah. So they try to wet the bun, like to just so it's easier to.
I feel we're so close to innuendos here, but we're doing a really good job of staying mature.
Yes, this is a family show. I reckon I'd 4 or 5, maybe. I just feel sick. Yeah, incredible. Joe Chestnut.
I think it takes your body 1/4 hour to be full or something. I don't know how true this stat is, but I reckon you could really go hard for like 7 minutes and then you'd feel awful for the next 3-4 hours.
I was going to say days.
Yeah, maybe days, actually.
I mean, the shame spiral will probably be days. The physical effects, like maybe just hours, yeah.
I love this. So last year's one, and this will be the last I mentioned of the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. So there was some inclement weather around the Coney Island area, and they were going to can it. But Joey Chestnut just hammered the officials to keep it going. It suffered from a 2-hour delay. Joey Chestnut won again, but was only able to eat 62. And he explained that due to the cold temperatures and the fact that the buns had been sat out for a couple of hours and had started to go stale, that was why he could only do 62 and not break his record of 76.
What's answering that question? Can you do it on a cold afternoon in Coney Island?
He still won. Still got the job done. Still won. Yeah. Salute Joey Chestnut. That's me. I can't believe that's my 4th pick. It was. I thought I had a really.
I
Good
can't believe it wasn't your first pick.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I might as well have done, given kind of what I've done to my draft board now. But I might have Andy on side with that. I don't know. Where are we, Byron? Back to you.
Yeah, I have two left field choices to choose between. I'm going to go with all-around athlete, Jim Thorpe.
Nice. He was on my board as well, yeah.
Jim Thorpe won the 1912 Olympic in Stockholm decathlon and pentathlon, setting a record in decathlon. He then went on to become the greatest football player of his era in the 1920s, the first ever president of the NFL as a player. Kind of just like a Paul Bunyan figure, truthfully. He stopped racism in its track in the football as it was then, in his Jim Thorpe's Bulldogs team. A coach had thrown a black player off the field and said, "Where I come from, black is black and white is white, get off the field." Jim Thorpe went over, essentially marched the coach off and said, "We play here, we're here to play football." And that was the only incident of racism that ever existed in the league at that time, or certainly spoke about. It just wasn't an issue, and that is in 1917 when those things would be a huge issue. He played pro baseball, pro football, pro basketball. Like I say, set Olympic records. He set the Olympic record in decathlon wearing shoes he'd found in the trash because his shoes had been stolen. One of the shoes was too big for him, so he literally had trash filling his shoe so it would fit him, and still set a decathlon world Olympic record that stood for 20 years. He also was a national ballroom dancing champion. Essentially, if you could set your hand to it, Jim Thorpe would be better than you at it. Like I say, a true like Paul Bunyan figure that's almost, I think, should be mythologized more just in terms of what he was. And I know this is a long time ago, which might ding me in the same way Don Bradman did, but I think he's one of them figures of sporting history and American history that deserves to be spoke more about and deserves to have his story told more. He has had biographies wrote about him, obviously, but he's not a name that comes up, I think, when people talk about footballing GOATs, but in terms of his impact in making football the sport it is in the 20s and making it a professional setup and having his name attached to it. Like I say, he was the first president of the NFL at, I'm not sure what age he was actually, but it was when he was a player. Shows how revered and respected he was. And to do that on the back of Olympic gold medals in, again, it wasn't like the 100 meters or one track. Decathlon and pentathlon are incredibly tough events to gold at. And a decathlon world record, Olympic record that stood for 20 years. He's just, I think, as an all-round athlete, I don't know if there's anyone who could have claimed to come close. I'd love to hear stories of anyone who could, truthfully, because I find that kind of thing just incredible.
Yeah, it was on my list, and I'd read into it a bit more and educated myself on it. Just incredible, and I'm so sad we've gone from Joey Chestnut to that. But yeah,
hey, that's a good point. I don't know if you could eat a hot dog.
Yeah,
at rapid pace.
How was 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes? But yeah, Jim Thorpe, and it was one I probably kept. I was going to put my honorable mentions just because, again, it's one of them ones that again, greatest of all time. Go from back. I've just put it on as multi-sport. That's the best way to describe it. But then that kind of made me think of people like Bo Jackson or Deion, primetime, Deion Sanders. But yeah, Jim Thorpe.
Jordan.
Maybe not. But yeah, I think a great shout for that kind of multi-sport athlete. Jim Thorpe, just incredible story. And there's there was a female option as well for that as well, which was play golf, basketball, baseball, something else as well, another sport. But yeah, great.
I forgot to mention in that diatribe about Jim Thorpe there, he was the first Native American to win a gold medal as well.
Nice. Good stuff. Any thoughts on Jim Thorpe, gents?
I've not heard of him, to be honest, so I've got nothing really to say about him.
You should give him a Google and you'll get much more out of it than my 90 seconds of talking there. Just an incredible person to read about.
Yeah, fantastic. Great story. Cool. Andy, penultimate pick of the draft. Your fourth to finish off your board. Who are you going for with the 15th overall pick of the GOATs draft?
I'm going to go for Lance Armstrong. No, I'm joking. I'm going for a guy that I actually had high on my list. We mentioned him earlier a little bit, and he is my GOAT in the sport. And I'm purely because he's still there. I'm going to take a massive draft deal here. I'm going for LeBron James. I think that for me, he is the GOAT because I think for everything I said before about the fact he was in worse teams, and I think he had a lot longer career, and he's got 4 NBA championships, 4-time Finals MVP, 4-time MVP. Also, he won a 5-time 5-time NBA defensive first team. I don't think Jordan. I think he did it once. I want to say Rookie of the Year, of course. 3-time NBA All-Star Game MVP, 13-time All NBA first team. And I think that for me, it probably is an age thing. I think you guys probably do view Jordan, and I think Jordan has got a bigger legacy in terms of better impact on the game, and definitely a better Space Jam. I couldn't even watch that thing. I actually watched it and turned off after 5 minutes. It was generally one of the worst films I've ever seen. Space Jam 2. It's definitely up there as one of the worst films I've ever seen. It was truly awful. But I think on the field, on the court, I should say, unbelievable player. I think he can do everything Jordan can, and I think defensively, I think he was a lot better. So I think that gave me a little bit of the edge over Jordan. But I'm not disputing, and that's why I left it so long, because I do have no qualms with Jordan being the GOAT, and I do think it is, as I said before, it is a generational thing. But yeah, I would say Jordan. So I would say LeBron James is the GOAT for me, and yeah, I'm so shocked that he managed to last till the 4th round.
Yeah, I think when Joe took Jordan number 1, I think I kind of just set myself out on LeBron. But yeah, again, and then it is the debate, and it goes on constantly in basketball: LeBron or Jordan, LeBron or Jordan. It'll get to the end of the season in another month or 2, and it'll probably spark up again. But he's still at it. He's still doing it. Won a championship. 2020? Last time he won with the Lakers.
Well,
the bubble.
Asterisks over that
one.
Yeah. The bubble championship, the Disneyland NBA championship.
Jordan never done that, did he?
Jordan never did that, no. But yeah, any shouts on LeBron?
We kind of touched on it earlier. To me, Jordan is the GOAT, but I'm certainly not educated enough on basketball to argue the fact. I know LeBron is, that is the argument, isn't it? It's one of those two. So if you think he's the GOAT and he's in the 4th round, I think that's a great value pick. Like I said, I wouldn't vote for him, but I'm certainly not going to argue the case because I don't have an argument.
Yeah, fair. Cool. John, any raise on LeBron? I mean, you just get to see the opportunity to defend your Jordan pick.
Yeah, well, I've said it all I need to say with the first pick. So, I think it's close. You could argue that he may have had a better career, but Jordan's a better player. That's what I've heard some people argue about. So it's I think it's up in the air, and it's an interesting conversation. You obviously know where I lean, but to get in the 4th round, he's still one of the biggest sportsmen which has ever lived, especially in this era. So can't complain compared to Chestnut.
Do not bash Joey Chestnut. We'll have no Joey Chestnut slander on this podcast. Joe, Mr. Irrelevant, which feels harsh when we're talking about the GOATs. They did the GOATs draft. The 16th pick and the last GOAT in our draft to complete your board. Who's it going to be, Joe?
Yeah. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I've got a few choices to go with. There's someone who I was hoping would be still here, but it's the same spot which I've already picked, so I'm going to leave that out. And then it's either someone who's really old or a bit left field. Let's go a bit left field. Let's go. I'll go Simone Biles from athletics. She's won the most gymnastic world championship. And, I think it's good to get a second female on this board because it's, being dominated by male sportsmen. So let's go for Simone Biles.
Yeah, Simone Biles. She was on my list, and yeah, I still took Joe Chestnut.
Yeah.
Ahead of her, she was in my top 16. Just incredible. Again, sort of impacts over a much smaller. That's the way of gymnastics, isn't it? Right? You don't get long, the nature of it. Just over a real short period of time. But yeah, incredible athlete and incredible gymnast. And again, similar. Again, I've mentioned a few times that appointment television. Simone Biles in the Olympics. Can I watch that? Yeah, that's one of the ones I'm looking out for the events to watch. I'd never watch gymnastics any other time apart from the Olympics. And just appointment television. Yeah, I like that. Again, and as the last pick of the draft, I think that's really good value, Joe. Any thoughts on Simone Biles, guys?
She was on my list as well. Probably would have been my next pick if we did a 5th round and Joe didn't take her.
Yeah. all those ifs and buts. Yeah, but yeah, incredible.
Pure dominance again, just like you think of gymnastics in the last 12 years, and it's the only name that comes to mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Any thoughts, Andy, on Simone Biles to finish off the draft?
Again, on my list. And yeah, it's again, you mentioned then, I think 5th round come along, or even the 6th round, I would have definitely had her taken. I think again, you go down to female role models and how much the sport is growing, women's sports growing in her era. I think definitely impact-wise, she has to be in consideration because she's done so much and done so well in her career. I think she definitely deserves a place in this list.
Yeah, excellent, good stuff. Right, quick run of honourable mentions before we go. Andy, we'll start with you. Any honourable mentions that you had that didn't make the list?
Yeah, I mentioned Babe Ruth before. He's got to be in consideration. Novak Djokovic, I do think he's a tennis GOAT, but I just thought that the debate's just too much there for Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. It's not a clear GOAT. Chris Hoy I had, but I wasn't sure how much of a cycling GOAT he was. And then the other one, I'm surprised this sport hasn't come up, being how popular it is in the UK. Michael Schumacher was someone I had on my list. I think, again, you go down to him and Hamilton. For great, obviously, he got the same amount of titles. But I think, Schumacher made F1 popular. I think he certainly helped raise the profile of sport. But again, I don't really watch F1 enough to have a true debate on it. But also, I just thought, it was, again, one of those ones where it is a massive debate. I know I put LeBron James in there, but I think Schumacher, again, would have been someone I'd have picked again if he got to 5th or 6th round. I think he'd been someone definitely up for consideration.
Yeah, I didn't know with F1 whether Schumacher, Hamilton. Yeah, I know they've won both the same number of world championships, haven't they? So I didn't know if it was going to be that or not. But yeah, some good shouts in there. I know you joked Lance Armstrong before, but I was seriously considering taking Lance Armstrong as greatest GOAT of drug cheats. He'd fully committed to that. So yeah.
Well, with the last draft, Paul, we know you're heavy on athletes taking.
Only in baseball, I was.
Only in baseball.
Take steroids in baseball
because
that makes it more fun. So, quick one, Byron, just because I'm conscious that I need to run to football in a moment. Byron.
Yep. I had 2 honourable mentions, and I kind of took on the boxing. I had Rocky Marciano as my boxing GOAT, 49-0, only heavyweight champion to finish his career undefeated. And there was a couple of boxers who I think you could make an argument for. That's why I struggled putting Ali so high. Sugar Ray Robinson, even Floyd Mayweather, who everybody I fucking hate. I presume most people do, but he did finish 50-0. He picked his fights well, but he finished 50-0. You can't argue too much with that, in my opinion. But I had Marciano as my boxing GOAT, and the other one, which is very left field, but it's a name that whenever I think of GOATs, it often comes up. Jahangir Khan, squash player who went a record 555 consecutive matches he won in a row in 5 years. It's the longest winning streak. Competitive sport in the Guinness World Records.
Squash is brutal sport as well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't play 555 matches of squash, never mind win one. So yeah, not a sport I follow, but it's always a man whose name I see a lot when it comes to these kind of debates, and I just wanted to kind of give him a shout out because that is just phenomenal. I think he had 6 or 7 world championships alongside it, but yeah, he went 5 years unbeaten and over 500 consecutive matches won in a row, which...
Excellent. Joe, any honourable mentions for you? And I'll reel off my few.
Yeah, I think one I was thinking about is maybe not the sport, but the position. So I was thinking going Jerry Rice as the greatest of all time wide receiver and go a bit left field. And also I had Mark Cavendish as the greatest cyclist sprinter with the number of...
that's a good shout.
Tour de France.
Number of stages, yeah. My couple, I've got loads, so I'll try not to go for them all. But Ric Flair, greatest wrestler of all time. I feel bad Ric Flair hasn't gone. AP McCoy, Tony McCoy, greatest jump jockey, 20-time champion jockey. You reckon he had 1,000 falls and broke most of the bones in his body? Incredible. He was also very good at riding the horse as well. He didn't just fall off. Scottie Pippen, greatest sidekick, GOAT sidekick for Michael Jordan. A couple of others else did we have? Mia Hamm for women's soccer. Amanda Nunes, MMA fighter, men or women's. Tony Hawk, talked about that video game named after you. And Pete Rose, greatest GOAT gambler, Pete Rose, baseball gambler.
The GOAT gambler we don't know about.
Go. Yeah, absolutely.
Don't get caught is the first rule.
Don't get caught. Yeah, true. But yeah. Okay, gents, we'll wrap this up. So we need to pick a winner. So usually we'll just use the private chat function on our side. So if you just want to pop in who you think the winner is, just to quickly summarize, Joe took, terrible to do this when it's on the screen. Joe took Michael Jordan.
I've got it on a sheet here. So Joe took Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Phil the Power Taylor, Simone Biles. Andy took Muhammad Ali, Lionel Messi, Serena Williams, LeBron James. Byron, I took Wayne Gretzky, Michael Phelps, Don Bradman, Jim Thorpe. Paul took Tiger Woods, Usain Bolt, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Joey Chestnut.
Love that, Joey Chestnut. Then, so if you want to just pop in the chat who you think the winner is, and then we will have our winner. Oh, so we've got. Yes, Joe, you always win these in the minute. Joe with 2 votes. Joe, Andy got a vote. I got a vote. Byron, sadly, you did not get a vote this time.
Unreal.
So, Joe, congratulations. That is another win for you. Pretty good. I think pretty close. I think Joey Chestnut ruined me. If I'd have taken like AP McCoy.
I was about to say, when I was looking for it, I was like, Paul, first 3 I would have gone for you. This Joey Chestnut just ruined it.
Yeah. If I'd have swapped Joey Chestnut for Ric Flair, would you have voted for me?
No, because it's not a sport.
For Ric Flair?
Yeah.
Because it's not a sport.
Outrageous.
That was a real tough pick, to be honest. I think everyone had 3 real good ones.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of tough on the 4th one for everybody.
Cool.
But yeah, congrats, Joe.
Congrats, Joe.
Again.
Andy, thank you ever so much for taking part. We appreciate you. Great guest for this draft. That's it for Good Teams and Great Teams cover this week. Andy, we will absolutely have you back sometime soon, maybe for the AFC East Division preview. We'll talk some more Miami Dolphins close to when the season starts. Byron, Joe, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you next week with probably another draft, I think. So check us out.
Cheers.
See you later, guys.